So this is Gerrel again in Numa Gallery, and we're putting the neighbor back in neighborhood. I'm here with Danny Carr. Let me first remind you that on May 19th, True Love Church is taking the lead. That's True Love Church at 1001 35th Street, Inslee, taking the lead in putting the neighbor back in neighborhood community mixer. We're going to have free food. We'll have Danny is probably going to be out there unless something comes up, but he's on the list of people to speak to us that day, and we appreciate that. But we're going to have entertainment as well as information, as well as, like I said, free food. And I'm going to be giving away that $1,000 gift prize to whoever uploads video of neighborly activity and gets the most likes. So you want to come out and have that opportunity. I want to introduce you to someone that if you have not met him before, I have a tremendous amount of respect for. When I was the Birmingham Violence Reduction Initiative Support and Outreach Coordinator, Danny was the DA at the time, and he was like nothing I had never seen. Talking about a man who was willing to change social norms from the top down and really wanted to affect people. I really believe in what he says. This is not a quote-unquote endorsement from Numa Gallery, but this is an endorsement from me personally, right? Danny is an amazing, amazing man. I just want to introduce him to you, Danny Carr.
Hey, Gerrel, thank you, man, and I appreciate everything you're doing, man. I must echo those sentiments about you. I mean, I appreciate you being willing to go into the lines then in some of those instances, man, and talk to those young guys, and talk to those young brothers, and try to bring some harmony back and some love and peace back in the midst of all the violence and chaos. So
Mercy.
A lot of people don't know, but thank you. I want to say that.
I
appreciate you, brother.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
So, Danny, we want to talk about changing social norms, and but first, I want to get a little background. What made you? You're a lawyer, and you're from Inslee, Pratt City.
Yeah,
right. From what we used to call, what I'm no longer calling the hood, we call the neighborhood.
Neighborhood.
Right. Yeah. And so, what makes a young black man wants to grow up and be a lawyer and then become DA?
You know, I saw a chance to make a difference, and most young black guys who aspire to be lawyers don't aspire to be DAs. They aspire to be the criminal defense lawyers, or corporate attorneys, or lawyers that make more money, so to speak. There's money out there for lawyers, but DAs don't make a lot of money, and assistant DAs doesn't make any money at all, hardly. And the DA really doesn't. But the financial difference you make in people's lives if you do the job and do it for the right reasons is worth more than any amount of money. And I saw a chance to make a difference. I saw a chance to be a game changer. I saw a need where there need to be access to this office for people of color and the disenfranchised, someone that they can talk to about issues and know that although that person has the title, even at the time as assistant DA, but that person still had the ability to make a difference. And I just thought that was big for us, and I appreciate the opportunity 17 years ago, and I'm still here today.
Amen. 17 years.
17 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I want to mention that your mother is an educator.
Yes.
And so you grew up in an environment where I'm sure that was pressed.
Education was very important. You had to go to school. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And my mother was a single mother. But it's my mom and I and my little brother, and my little brother was murdered.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, he was murdered. And it was a tough time. But at that time, putting neighbor back in neighborhood, we had neighbors.
Right.
We had neighbors to step up to the plate. We had friends to step up to the plate. We had people to come show us love and support. And because when that happened back then, everybody knew each other in the neighborhood. Everybody kind of galvanized around us and kept us strong and was very supportive. And we were able to get through it. But of course, in order to be in this position I'm in today, it was because of efforts like this. And what I mean by that is making sure that people know who their neighbor are, and making sure that we put love back in neighborhoods and getting educated also.
Right. Now, the ideas that you have about that I can tell that you have about being in the DA's office, about how the DA's office should deal with it. I've never seen anybody in the field as much. I mean, you everywhere. You talking to kids, you talking to adults. I've never seen a district attorney get out there and be that close to the people that they're supposed to serve, right? In fact, I don't mind saying this, my experience, and you know, I had some experience with on being on the other side of the law and did my time for it,
Yes.
right? But there was nobody that was in the DA's office that was concerned about the things that may occur. Now, let me understand. Let me say this. I know that the DA's office has a job to do,
Absolutely.
and you do that job very well.
Yes, sir.
Your job is to prosecute. But
Absolutely.
as somebody who has power over a lot of people's lives, I've never seen someone like you from the DA's office be so close to the people that you're going to serve. Even though how do you balance that? The idea that I'm going to have to administer the law once it happens, but I'm going to try on the front end to prevent things by helping people be informed.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of gaining people's respect. And what I mean by gaining your respect is to be a trumpeter for understanding people's plights and understanding what people are going through. But at the same time, on the front end, I want to be that person to educate people and educate young people and educate people of all races and all economic status of how the law works. Now, you know, before I became DA or before I even got hired at the DA's office, I didn't know who the DA was. And I said that will never happen if I'm ever fortunate enough to be in that position. But talking to people, being proactive, being out there, being in neighborhoods, if I'm going to be the person to decide a person's fate as it relates to what happens in the system, if they unfortunately commit a crime, then I feel I have the duty to go out and also educate people. And I know that's not typical. That's kind of atypical.
Yes,
for a DA.
that's changing the social norm right
It's
there.
changing the social norm on the top level. But I think we have a duty as servant leaders to not just sit in the office, drink a little coffee, walk around, prosecute people, and go home. We also have to be on the front end of change. And I believe that you can be on the front end of change, even from the DA's position. We're going to prosecute people who commit crimes.
That's right.
Make no mistake about it.
I know that.
But at the same time, we're also going to give people second chances. We're also going to put people in positions to succeed and make it and right it wrong,
right.
For certain crimes. But you know, we just want to be tough on crime, but smart on crime, and be that social change.
That's the new phrase: smart on crime,
Absolutely.
not just tough on crime, because tough on crime has not worked by
Absolutely.
itself. Right,
Absolutely.
so we got to be smart on crime.
Yes.
This just came to my mind. I read an article yesterday about how the mayor said that he was going to trade guns for jobs. Is there an apparatus in place for? Because I got some guys that need some jobs.
Let me tell you, I got some guys I grew up with in the instant that need some jobs.
Yeah, they got some guns.
They got some guns too. I'm telling you, they're easily accessible,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate, especially for young people. But you know, and kudos to Mayor Woodfin, you know, for having that vision. But at the same time, you know, we got to make sure that the young people understand, because now they're getting younger and younger. We're talking
Right.
about 14-year-olds.
We're
We're talking about 13-year-olds with guns. We're talking about people taking guns to school. You know, the unfortunate incident at Huffman. You know, I was at Huffman a year before this happened, speaking to kids about guns and about truancy and about the people they hang around. And it was an unfortunate incident, but we don't want to be reactive.
Right.
We want to be proactive. We don't want unfortunate incidents like that to happen to make us all decide that we want to do something about it.
Yes.
We have to think forward and understand that in order to prevent these things, that we have to be visible. We have to be out there, we have to be talking to kids, have to be talking to families, and doing our best to try to prevent this stuff on the front end.
Now, you know that putting the neighbor back in neighborhood is a movement that's designed to help people understand how to change social norms. And so for people that don't understand what a social norm is any behavior or attitude that people or a group of people agree to, whether consciously or unconsciously, to promote and practice. Social norm, again, is any behavior or attitude that a group of people agree to, whether unconsciously or consciously, to promote or practice. or promote and practice. So we have some social norms in our community. One of them that I talk about all the time is that we don't get to know our neighbors. And so what happens is, in the gap, when you don't have children that are able to learn how to develop new relationships, because they don't have the models for it, right? Particularly if you've got a situation where you have a single mother who's got 5 kids, and she's got to work, and she's tired when she come home, and they're in the street, and she hadn't introduced, and the neighbors hadn't introduced themselves. So now they're just out there in that gap,
Correct.
right, with no relationship skills, and they're together with no relationship skills. And so, I'm just saying that bad things can happen. So what we want to do is we want to promote healthy interaction with people, teach them how, when we was kids, people used to borrow cups of sugar.
Absolutely. All the time. All the time.
Don't borrow no cups of sugar.
I mean, hey, we used to cook enough to take some to the neighbor, and vice versa.
That's exactly
We're
right.
always thinking about each other.
So now I'm saying that we are going to have to, because the norms have become so strong, we're going to have to look strange to people. I've invited people to actually, what do you think about this? I've invited people actually to go ask their neighbor to go bowling with them.
Wow.
To go introduce themselves to a new neighbor.
That'd be great.
To go and actually have your kids, reward your kids for doing things for people in the neighborhood.
That is awesome.
It's out of the box.
It's out of the box.
It's out of the box.
Yeah, but that is wonderful. I think it's a wonderful idea. I think hopefully this thing take on like wildfire. Because I'm gonna tell you something. The more you talk about that, the more I get goosebumps thinking about it, because that's the way it used to be, and it worked.
Right.
It's simple.
Right. As
but
soon
it
as we
worked.
got away from,
Yeah.
And there's no perfect world, but
No.
as soon as people stopped interacting in healthy ways with each other, crime explodes.
Yes.
Right. We saw it. It was, I guess we could say it started in the 80s, and I think people probably became more selfish and self-centered.
Yes.
Right. And so now you can't talk to anybody else's kids anymore without fear. But then I know you hear it. First time they get in trouble, they come up here and tell me.
That's right. That's right. But and when you know someone, you have a tendency to care about them. You have a tendency to love them more. When you don't know them, then you don't care what happened to them.
Right.
And you don't care what you do around them.
So Danny, we talked about how the neighborhood became the hood. And so I explained it like this, is that the hood represents location.
That's right.
Neighbor represents people. And so when you de-emphasize neighbor and you just emphasize your location, see, now you got people West Side.
Yes, sir.
Right, okay, so now,
Yes.
now the people ain't important,
That's right.
and only the hood
Hood is important.
is important.
That's right.
But now you don't know how to, a lot of us don't really know how to take care of property. So property values fall and crime goes up.
Yeah, and we have people in positions and places, even financially, to be able to purchase property in neighborhoods.
Okay, so let me talk about that.
Okay.
What do you think about the idea of people in their own neighborhoods getting together to put investment groups together to buy those properties in their neighborhood so they can keep the property value up?
I mean, I think that's brilliant. I mean, because affordable housing, and when certain areas are taken over and refurbished, I use the term refurbished.
We don't want to say the G word.
Refurbished, then people can't afford to live there anymore. And I understand, economics, and I understand, people who own property and people who are in position to make more money want to make more money. But there's a human element to everything. And we have to look at what are we doing for our neighbor, what are we doing for the people who are in that neighborhood who are on fixed income, the people who are in that neighborhood who love that neighborhood but may not have the resources or the money or the contacts that other people have. Everyone has to have somewhere to live. Everyone has to have somewhere to raise their family, and everyone should be allowed to live in a safe neighborhood.
Right.
And the only way we do that is putting neighbor back in neighborhood, investing in our neighborhoods, making sure that we take care of each other. And then from there, I think our way of life will change.
It will change.
Our way of life will change, and the way we approach each other will change.
So there has to be an emphasis on changing those social norms. So
Absolutely.
we want to expose the norms that are not healthy.
Yes.
And give information.
Yes.
And that's what we'll be doing on May 19th. We'll have that. I'm going to go back to that. May 19th, True Love Church. True Love is a church in the neighborhood that is taking the lead Pastor White.
Pastor White, Reverend White, my man.
Yeah, and he's taking the lead with allowing us to present this at his church, True Love Church, 1001 35th Street, Angeles. Right, we're gonna have a real good time, have free food, free drinks out there till they run out. We're gonna feed you and to run out, but we're gonna educate you as well. Danny will be talking about social norms and the justice system. Danny's a tremendous inspirational speaker. I've seen him several times talking with youth, and I can't wait to have him. I've been so excited about you coming and having talk to the youth. I was at the door, right? But I'll be speaking about social norms in general. We'll have Jamaria Moore come and speak about social norms and the probate system. It's very important for people to understand that. And we'll have a banker from Renaissance Bank will come out, and Hometown Lenders will come out. And so we're going to have a lot of good information for you, as well as the food. And don't forget, we're going to have that $1,000 gift prize to whoever you need to start uploading those videos as soon as you can. Midnight on May 18th, I will tally up who gets the most. Remember, hashtag the changing social norms, hashtag changing social norms, or hashtag putting the neighbor back in neighborhood. And we're just gonna have a good time. Danny, I appreciate there's so much more we can talk about, man.
Absolutely.
I know you have things to do because we out here in the DA's office. And I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your inspiration.
I appreciate everything you're doing. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Y'all have a good time.
All right.
If I should even get up and go to the church again. No one but you know all the issues that I struggle